let's make it clear to y'all. On the Mwendo radio show.
DJ Mwendo, we here live at Legacy with Beautiful Eulogy, Braille, Odd Thomas, Cortland Urbano. How you guys doing?
Urbano?
So you telling me I pronounced it wrong?
No, I just thought it was interesting how you added the or instead of the
The Urbano?
Urbano.
Okay.
There you go, brother. There you go.
I feel it, man. How y'all doing, though?
We're doing
all
good.
right.
We good?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure? Oh, it's good, man. It's good. You guys in the middle of a tour, man. You guys are always touring, though. How was this Midwest run?
It's been good. Yeah, I mean, tours for us just look like if someone books us in a region.
You just book a bunch of dates.
Well, not a bunch, like 4 dates. We just try and stack it. We only go out once a month, and we try and do 4 to 6 shows in a month.
Yeah.
And we try and do that in one trip. That way we spend the rest of the month at home, and it just frees us up to love our families and serve in our local church. So,
That's good. So
yeah.
how was this Midwest run?
It's been good. We hit some places we've never been before. So we did a show in Minnesota, which we've never done.
Really?
And that went really well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Talk about Humble Beast now. You guys made an announcement the other day that the roster was shrinking a bit. So just talk about, where you guys see that going forward.
I mean, I think right now we're just at a point where we're continuing to assess what are the wisest things for us to do, given all the varying factors that exist kind of for our unique ministry. And so I think it's one of those things when you're about to go through a big change or a big transition, it's just like there's a lot of buildup. So I think at this point, it's just kind of a relief for us because since that is the direction things are going, it's good to just kind of have that out in the open and be moving in that direction. So now we're really just thinking about, okay, now based on our transition, based on our changes, how can we just continue growing in like a healthy, sustainable ministry model as Humble Beast and continue focused on our mission? So, yeah.
Yeah. Thomas, any thoughts from you, man?
No, I think Brian nailed it.
We got to get you some coffee this morning, man.
Indeed.
Well,
man.
we got to take turns answering because it was funny. One time, this guy came up to me and he asked me a question and I gave him an answer. And then he walks over to Thomas and asks him the same question, thinking he's going to hear something different. And Thomas answered, and it wasn't a question related to this. It was just a different question. But, I mean, so many questions, if you ask both of us, you're almost going to get exact verbatim the same answer because our lives are so integrated and we spend so much time together and our thinking is just really similar on a lot of things.
I was going to say, because you guys obviously do the music together with the group, run the record label together, but you guys also go to the same church, right?
Yeah.
Talk about you guys' ministry there, man.
Well, we kind of all we've been a part of a church plant that started about 5 years ago, we just love our church, man. We love our church. We love being there. We love serving the church. We have a high view of the church. We kind of all are involved in serving capacities. Brian and I do some leadership there. We teach and we're part of the liturgy and we love our congregation, man. And that's one of the reasons why we're so fixed on doing a small amount of shows because we just miss them when we're gone. We want to be there. So it's a sacrifice for us to go and do ministry, and part of that sacrifice is being away from our local church.
The creative process for you guys. It's always produced by Beautiful Eulogy, not individual. How do you guys typically come up with a song? Like, where does it start? Does it start lyrics, then you add music? Does it start with a melody? Does it start with drums? How does that typically start for y'all?
Yeah, well, something produced by Beautiful Eulogy is a little different than a Beautiful Eulogy song.
That's more so what I'm asking, a Beautiful Eulogy song.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna put Cortland in the hot seat back here. We look up to him, and
that's why he's sitting up there.
Yeah, the process is it always usually starts with the music, just because of how these guys rap, how synchronized it is to the music. Like for them to write without it would be pretty difficult. And I think they just would rather know what the pocket is and also know how to communicate things and even their cadence and stuff too. So the process of us producing it, I mean, it varies every song. There's some cases where it's like I've already produced something and we fit it within a concept that we've come up with, or we have a concept, we create music to it, and then the guys take it, study, then write lyrics after that. Or we've created a whole song to an original beat that we made, and then we're like feeling it's not good enough or it doesn't match the content well enough, and we strip everything and pretty much like remix the whole song, which has happened on many occasions. So it's a varied process, but the things that stay the same is music, studying, lyrics. So
how did you guys develop the Beautiful Eulogy sound? Because even prior to Beautiful Eulogy, if you just said you three were going to be in a group, this isn't the sound that I would have envisioned based on your previous output. You know what I'm saying? And it's like y'all literally created something totally different than your individual careers with Beautiful Eulogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember as we started, because it's funny, like the first song we came out with, we were just like on a posse cut, you know, and then some people heard us on Misconceptions, so it's like, you know, we did a record with Timothy Brindle as well, but it was like early on in the process of making the album, we just started cutting anything that just seemed too familiar and too similar. We had like one or two songs that were like a newer sound, and it's like, let's go this direction with everything. You know, we don't need like bangers. We don't need anything typical. And I think more than anything, you had this kind of culmination of influences, but more so you had this burden to communicate. And based on what we wanted to communicate and based on what was influencing us, what would that sound like? You know, and the group was like this reinvention process where it's like, it doesn't have to sound like anything Braille's done. It doesn't have to sound like anything Thomas has done. There's no preconceived notion. I mean, there is some because they're like, well, these guys are all in the group, but it's like, no, we're starting from ground zero. So there was just a freedom that we had, and it was like, well, then what kind of music do we want to make right now? And that process was really enjoyable and really fun. Sometimes we would start songs, you know, and we kind of have this thing where everybody has to be on board. You know, so someone might bring something to the table, but if other members of the group are like, nah, that's not really working for me, then we'll just keep working at it until we kind of all are on the same page. And there's just been a lot of freedom and a lot of joy in creating music together and not feeling bound to an expectation of like, oh, it's got to be like this or it's got to be like that. But yeah, more than anything too, just the content that we're trying to convey has dictated a lot of the emotion that's in the music. There's something, you know, if we're going to write a song about all the benefits of the Christian and the gifts from God that we will receive in heaven, what does that sound like? It doesn't really sound like this to me. You know what I mean? Like it has a different sound. And so we're just trying to make music that sounds like what we're trying to communicate.
It's interesting. So it sounds like you equate what you're trying to communicate with the sound of the music and the marriages. So, like, because I've asked you this several times, obviously, on a personal level, are we going to get any more Braille music? Are we going to get a Odd Thomas solo record? Like that type of thing. So are you guys just in a space like this is what we're trying to communicate? If I go back to this, I almost have to communicate something different than what I'm trying to communicate.
It's just it would be communicated in a different way. You know, and I think in that too, there's so many factors that as we consider these things, you know, even sometimes there's verses that I'll write where, yeah, that's the right content, but based on the seriousness of what I'm communicating, I don't think that's the right tone. You know, so there's even a gentleness that I think comes with the music that we make in some cases, and it's a gentleness that's not necessarily just an artistic aesthetic, but it is so connected to the content. You know, if I'm going to communicate this truth, I want to do it in gentleness and in love. I don't want to be this kind of pit bull, you know, yelling some theology on a microphone like I'm angry or like I'm mad. You know what I mean? It's like, it's beautiful to me and it's glorious and I want it to be compelling and I want to share a joy in it. And so So it's like those things become challenging. So I do feel like in times with making Braille music, it's like I had a very specific wheelhouse and had a very specific thing, and it would sometimes feel limiting in what I was able to convey, at least that I couldn't put the type of emotion or the beat dictated the flow in such a way that I couldn't just convey it the way I wanted to convey it, you know? And there's challenges for me with Beautiful Eulogy. I mean, man, those first 2 records, it was like trying to become a new artist, like in front of everybody, you know, and rapping a different way and doing new things. But that's how it was for all of us. When we made Satellite Kite, we're like, yo, I don't know what people are gonna do, you know? We're like, people are gonna hate this. But there was another side of us like, I think some people will be blessed by it, you know? And so we've just rolled with it. And I think that becomes the theme whenever we get excited. Like Thomas and I both will be like, oh, maybe we'll try and do this or try and do that. And we always end up coming back to, man, let's just make some more Beautiful Eulogy stuff, you know? Because it's just become such a part of who we are and what we want to convey. And there's also just, I guess, some like creative freedom, but also some creative safety. There's accountability, and there's fellowship that we share as we create that's just real unique and real special and different than any other moment that we can look backwards at in our career. So, yeah.